Well, greetings and welcome to another series of weekly devotionals as we take a look at one of the lectionary readings for this coming Sunday and offer some thoughts for reflection and meditation. We're back into the book of Psalms this week as we look at Psalm 25. And I want to begin today by sharing a little story about a time that I spent in college. When I was in college, I majored in engineering, which I soon discovered was not my forte. I remember an incident when I was in my dorm room and I was having difficulty figuring out how to replace the staples in my stapler. And one of my friends asked me, you're supposed to be an engineer, right? Well, not for very long. And I remember one of my classes in that first year of engineering was a class on engineering drawing, like mechanical drawing. And we were instructed always to draw straight lines, but it had to be a continuous line from point A to point B. And we had to try to get it as straight as we possibly could. And I didn't like drawing like that. I was used to kind of artistic drawing, and I like to do a lot of sketching with charcoal pencils, and those are the kind of drawings where you're going back and forth and a lot of unbroken lines and shading in things, and things don't have to be perfect continuous lines. So the engineering drawing was a little bit difficult for me to kind of get used to. And I mentioned these contrasts in drawing lines because I think so often we think of our faith as sort of that mechanical drawing, like a straight line from point A to point B. That's how our faith, our journey of faith should look. We should just begin and progress with unbroken continuity to get to where we need to get to in our relationship with God. But the psalmist in Psalm 25 sort of expresses a faith that is not resembling, not emblematic of that unbroken continuity. The very first verses, the psalmist writes, "My God, in you I trust," expressing trust in God. In the very next line writes, "Don't let me be put to shame. Don't let those who trust in you be put to shame." And so throughout the psalm, there's this sort of flip-flop between expressing trust and then expressing a little bit of distrust that God is really going to be there, this pleading with God. And this goes on throughout the entire psalm, this sort of expression of trust and expression of distrust in God's presence. And I think that really sort of more accurately describes our relationship of faith with God, that it doesn't work clean and neat and unbroken and continuous. It's a lot of fits and starts, a lot of steps forward and steps back. That's generally how our faith often works. And I remember as a kid growing up in the church of my upbringing, and I would often get frustrated and disgusted sort of with myself when I would make mistakes or when I would not be the good person I thought I should be, and when I would commit what I considered to be a sin. And I remember praying to God and expressing this sort of frustration. God, I'm never going to get it right. I'm never going to stop making mistakes. I'm never going to stop committing sins. I'm never going to be the person, the Christian you want me to be. So you might as well just give up on me. And of course, later on in life, as I've gotten older, I've realized, well, those mistakes and those goof ups, those sins that I commit, that's going to continue for the rest of my life. I'm never going to get it right. I'm never going to have that unbroken line from point A to point B. That's just not how life works. That's not how faith works. I stumbled upon a series of drawings by a Swiss artist by the name of Alberto Giacometto, and he was sort of famous for making drawings with a lot of squiggly lines. This is one of his most famous drawings. I think it's a nice self-portrait. What do you think? Not so attractive, but you can see in this drawing that there's lines all over the place, and they're sort of broken. It's kind of like squiggly lines where you can't even see where one line begins and another line ends. And I think that kind of a drawing is probably more symbolic of how faith works, certainly for the writer of Psalm 25, and I would suspect for most of us as well. And that's, I think, natural, and I think kind of the way faith is supposed to work. So those are my thoughts for reflection this day as we begin looking at Psalm 25. And I'll leave you with an amen.